Okay, so today's topic of discussion is fasciola, which is also called as liver fluke. And generally, we study about fasciola hepatica. Okay, so first we will consider about its digestive system. Since it is a parasite, therefore it lives within the host body, and therefore it will follow anaerobic respiration because oxygen is not available within the host body. Now, seeing its digestive system, its digestive system is incomplete, that is, lacks anus. Anus is absent in case of fasciola. Because it is a parasite, therefore it does not need to have an elaborate digestive system. The intestine is branched in case of fasciola, that is, it has many diverticula. So if we will see the digestive system, this is the pharynx, and from here in the complete body like this, the diverticula is present. So this will be the mouth, then comes the pharynx, then very short esophagus, and then this is the intestine, which is bifurcated. These are the two bifurcations, and it will terminate blindly in the posterior end of the body. This will be the organism's structure. Now it has suckers is present in case of fasciola, which helps in rasping the food. So the oral sucker along with the pharynx serves as the suctorial apparatus, which sucks the food, or you can say the tissues, from the host's body. The respiratory and circulatory system are absent in case of fasciola. Now coming to the excretory system. Now the platyhelminths, all the platyhelminths have flame cells for excretion, which are numerous. It can also be called as protonephridia. Now seeing the flame cells, or if we will see the diagram of flame cells, So this is the cilia, this is lumen, so if we consider the body of the fluke like this, then here is the excretory pore, and from here numerous branches come out. And at the end of these branches, the flame cells are present. These are the flame cells. Now from the flame cells, these minute excretory ducts are arising, which join together to the excretory trunk, and which will finally join to the main this longitudinal excretory canal. So here, if you're having confusion, here is the flame cells. From here the excretory ducts are arising, which is opening into the common excretory trunk, and it is joining the longitudinal excretory canal, which will finally open out through the excretory pore. Okay, this is the passage of nitrogenous waste from the flame cell to the excretory pores. Now what does it excrete? The main excretory products are CO2 and ammonia. Now if this is the structure of the flame cell as we saw, this is the surrounding body, we can say. Here the nitrogenous waste is present, CO2, NH3, these nitrogenous waste is present. So it is taken inside into the flame cells. Why it is taken inside? Because it has this pseudopodia, which increases its surface area. And when the concentration of the nitrogenous wastes will increase within the flame cells, that is within this area, it will diffuse into the lumen. From outside, it will first come inside the flame cell, and from this part it will move into the lumen part of the flame cell. And the cilia present here will also help in the propulsion of the waste into the lumen towards this duct. So from there are several flame cells. Here also one flame cell will be present, here also one flame cell will be present. All will collect the nitrogenous waste in this duct and will finally join the excretory trunk as we saw, and then finally the waste product will be excreted out through the excretory pore. So here the pathway is important, that nitrogenous waste first comes to the mesenchyme. The pathway here is that nitrogenous waste will go to the mesenchyme area of the flame cell, then to the lumen, then to the collecting tubule. This one is the collecting tubule, then to the excretory duct, the excretory canal, the excretory pore and then to the outside. So this will be the passage of the nitrogenous waste in case of fasciola. Now we will see the reproductive system. Talking about the structure of the male and female reproductive organ. It is hermaphrodite. Now what does this term mean? That is, male and female can be present in the same individual. Okay, so first we will see the structure of the male reproductive system. So the structures, talking about just the names, testes is present, then vasa deferentia, same as in the case of humans or mammals, you can say. Then is the seminal vesicle. One serous sac is present, okay, and in glands, prostate gland is present. So this will be very clear with the help of a diagram. Here two testes are present, which is kind of tubular. It is highly tubular, and from both testes the vas deferens will come out. These are the tubular testes, which occupies a large space if this is the body of fasciola. So it is occupying the large central space. Then from here the vasa deferentia is arising, which is narrow. Okay, this is the vasa deferentia. Now this will unite to form the seminal vesicle, which is sac-like structure. Then this is the ejaculatory duct. Here the prostate gland is present. The dot-like structure is the prostate gland. And here is our serous, which is enclosed in a serous sheath. The serous is enclosed in a serous sheath, and finally it ends in the gonopore. So from the seminal vesicle the ejaculatory duct is coming out, and at its end this serous sac is present, which is like the copulatory organ. The serous acts as the copulatory organ, and so it can also be called as the penis. And finally the ejaculatory duct will end in the form of gonopore. The seminal vesicle, ejaculatory duct, and the serous is covered by the serous sheath. These three structures are covered by the serous sheath. Now seeing this in a bit detail for clarification, here was our seminal vesicle. From here the ejaculatory duct arose. Okay, here is our serous, which is the copulatory organ. Okay, this is our seminal vesicle. This is the ejaculatory duct. Here the prostate gland is present. This is the serous, and this complete structure is surrounded by the serous sheath. The serous opens into the male genital aperture first. Here is the male genital aperture, then is the genital atrium, and then finally comes the gonopore. So this is exactly the detailed structure inside the serous sheath. And prostate glands is present in the around the ejaculatory duct, and it secretes, the prostate gland secretes alkaline fluid, okay, which helps in the free movement of the sperm during copulation, and this is the only gland of the male reproductive system. So I hope this is clear. First we talked about the tubular testes, which leads to the vas deferens, then the seminal vesicle, and for more clarification, the seminal vesicle then opens into the ejaculatory duct, then comes the serous, which is beside the ejaculatory duct, then genital aperture is there, which opens into genital atrium, and finally outside through the gonopore. And surrounding the ejaculatory duct is the prostate gland, and surrounding this whole structure is the serous sheath. Serous is actually the copulatory organ and can also be called as the penis. Now talking about the female reproductive structure. So similarly, it will comprise of the ovary, the oviduct, the uterus. It has one Laurer's canal, and it has vitellaria, and it has a Mehal's gland. So it will be very clear by seeing the diagram of the female reproductive structure. So if we draw the body of Fluke like this, it is very easy. Here we have our ovary, okay. From the ovary, this duct is arising, which is the Laurer's gland, and the duct which is going straight is the oviduct, okay. And this oviduct is continuing as this tubular uterus, which is finally ending into the female genital pore. So this is our ovary. Talking about ovary, it is single and highly branched and tubular. And then this is our oviduct. It is short. This is our yolk reservoir. From here comes the Mehal's gland. This is here at the side, vitelline glands are present. Okay, here the vitelline gland is present, and from the vitelline gland the duct, longitudinal vitelline duct, will arise, which will join this transverse vitelline duct. It will open into the yolk reservoir, and this is the median vitelline duct. Okay, this is the median vitelline duct, and surrounding it is the Mealy's gland. So the median vitelline duct and the oviduct will join to form the ovovitelline duct, which is also called as the uterus. So these both structures are joining. This structure is our uterus. It is not as the human uterus. It is tubular in form. It is highly convoluted structure, as you can see, and finally opens to the female genital aperture. Okay, this is our Laurer's canal, which we were talking about. So it is a copulatory tube which arises from the oviduct, and it is visible only during the breeding period, or it comes out only during the breeding period. And so we can say that this Laurer's canal serves as the vagina of fasciola, okay, during copulation. Then we talked about vitellaria, or the vitelline gland. It occurs in the form of clusters or follicles like this. It will be in the form of clusters or follicles on both the right and left hand side along the entire body length. Then it will join the longitudinal vitelline duct, which will finally join the transverse vitelline duct, giving the appearance of H shape. This whole structure is giving the appearance of H shape, the letter H. Okay, at the middle it swells up to form the yolk reservoir. And from the yolk reservoir, the median vitelline duct will arise. This will become the median vitelline duct, which will continue to form the uterus. Now, what is the function of the vitelline gland? It produces yolk cells, and then these yolk cells will get stored in the yolk reservoir and get accumulated around the fertilized egg. Then there is also one Mealy's gland. It can also be called as the shell gland. It is also called as the shell gland, but do not get confused, as it has no role in the formation of shell. It lubricates the uterus. It actually helps in lubricating the uterus for the smooth passage of the eggs, and also helps in the activation of sperm. So this was about the female reproductive system. First, ovary is there, from which the oviduct comes out, and from the oviduct here the Laurel canal comes out, which acts as vagina during the breeding season. Then the oviduct continues and joins with the median vitelline duct to form the uterus, which is highly convoluted and will finally end in the genital aperture. Below the median vitelline duct is the yolk reservoir, and at the sides of the body is the vitelline gland, which joins the lateral vitelline duct, then the transverse vitelline duct, and finally meets the yolk reservoir, where the yolk cells are stored. And the Mealy's gland, which is also called as shell gland, helps in lubricating the eggs, lubricating the uterus and smooth passage of eggs. So this was about the male and female reproductive structure, the digestive and the excretory system of fasciola. In our next video, we will deal with the life cycle of fasciola. Now we have understood how the reproductive structures look and what are the roles of several glands. So in the next video, it will be easy to understand the life cycle of the fasciola, its larval stages, and how it affects its host. Till then, make the notes, note it all down, and keep studying.